From KMUW Wichita,
from Toronto, Ontario,
and from Armilla, Spain,
this is You're Saying It Wrong. Let's talk words. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Ross. Before we jump into today, I just want to thank Ninky333, who left a review for us on the Apple Podcasts platform. Says, what fun. This is such an entertaining show. Thank you to Ninky333 and everyone else who leaves a review. And also, I should warn people that if you don't enjoy laughing or having fun, this is probably not the show for you. Someone else left a negative review a while back that complained that we laugh too much. Which is like, okay, sure. Move along then, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so please leave us positive reviews and just, move along quietly if you hate fun and learning things.
Now I'm not going to laugh ever again.
Oh, man, some people. Anyway, last week we teased this topic for today a little bit when we talked about farther and further and the distinction between the two and whether we even need to make a distinction between the two. I won't rehash that because if you didn't hear that, you should go back and listen to last week's episode, just like you should be listening to all of our episodes and not laughing. And so today we're going to continue on with grammar controversies along the lines of farther and further.
But
Correct.
first, I have a question. This is actually a serious topic. But here's the question. Do you know the definition of book drenching?
Book trenching?
Book drenching.
Drenching. Book drenching, as in making a book very, very wet. Yes?
Possibly, but not quite. This was a very serious and to us horrifying new word. Or the definition of the new word was, the new two words was horrifying, the new phrase.
Wow. Is this a new phrase or is this
Yes,
just something you just learned? Oh, it's new. Okay.
It's a new phrase, but it's a phrase referring to a new tendency that's going on.
Oh, let's see. Let me think. Book drenching. No, I have no idea what this could possibly mean.
Okay, Kath, do you want to explain
I think
it? Or?
It's so bogus. I'm
We
sorry.
we both
Start
agree.
with that.
Okay.
I'm going to read the. Should I read that, Ross?
Yeah, why don't you read the whole thing? Yeah.
Okay, it's this is the
A new trend. It's all over the place, apparently, in all these style magazines. Go,
okay,
Kath.
now what they're saying is the application of book drenching fundamentally alters the sensory experience of a room. Its impact extends beyond the purely visual, affecting the space's acoustics, perceived warmth, and overall character. By turning a flat, static wall into a deep, textured surface, the technique introduces a layer of complexity. This goes on and on and on. I'm going to stop right here and basically say, they say the idea is not merely to display books, but to use their collective mass to define a space. It is not about a few neatly arranged stacks or a well-ordered shelf. It is about scale. And so basically it's about like a lot of books, right, Ross?
Yeah, and you can see behind me, Fletcher, if anyone
I was
has
just
a
gonna
camera.
say.
I have a book-drenched room, but
You do.
but I like to read those books, and I got them to
Right.
read. And I did not get them to create a space. I think I'm an inadvertent book drencher.
Yeah, but Ross, but you have introduced a layer of complexity.
I have, and I actually went to a
That's
couple
true.
times when they've had radio people in here. They've commented that the acoustics are really good because, indeed, they do create. But it just horrified us, the idea increasingly of using books as using the idea of reading and basically taking away from reading and using it essentially as a design thing. And I'm going to make one minor comment. It really horrified me years ago. I was at a rare bookstore in New York, Strand Bookstore upstairs, and the daughter of the owner was getting into doing book drenching, selling books as basically, quote, modular building blocks for creating atmosphere. That's one of the definitions.
Yeah, it was books by the yard. They sold
Yeah,
them as.
books by the and someone came in and they bought a yard and a half of books, and they were vellum covered books. And there was another yard next to that it was from the same set, and I realized, oh my God, those are Ovid, who's a really kind of cool writer in Latin, and that's a really good edition. It's I think it was the whatever. You don't care about the edition.
No, we don't, Ross. It's good.
So anyway, I said, I just noticed that person there bought a yard and a half of books. Could I buy the next yard for me? And she goes, oh, what do you want them for? I said, well, to read them. And she goes, oh, we can't sell them to you for reading. We can sell them to you for by the yard. So for reading, you have to go to this really cool guy who was the rare book curator there. And so I went, and he was saying, it was $400. I said, well, the guy bought them for reading for like the decoration for like 30. How come I can't have them for 30? So then I went to the daughter of the owner. I complained. I said, you just sold those for 30, and I have like even fewer books. And she goes, oh no, but you want them for reading, so we have to charge you another price. Anyway, that horrified us, and we were not laughing when we read that.
We're going on to the controversies. These are now things that really aren't controversial, controversial, blah, 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 blah. But some people get hot under the collar about them.
I was reading a book the other day, and it mentioned Martin, and I'm not sure this is true, but it mentioned Martin Amis, the writer.
I thought it was Kingsley Amis. It was Martin who was upset by it, or Kingsley?
Yes, it was the son. That's Martin, right?
Martin is the son, correct.
Yeah. And the statement was made that he hated using the word dilapidated, except in the technical Latin sense. We were talking about decimated before, remember? And he said dilapidated because lapis in Latin refers to stones. You should only use dilapidated when for example, a dilapidated building is only accurate if you refer to a stone building.
Oh, it can't be just a building you threw stones at?
Well, technically, actually, Kathy got into the Latin there because he's really wrong. He said the point would be lapis is Latin. Therefore, it refers to like de-stoned buildings. Therefore, you cannot use it for a dilapidated wooden farmhouse. Now, first of all, going back into the Latin, which we did, and Kathy quickly showed that, the original Latin was actually throwing stones at, apparently.
Gosh.
We're not sure. Yeah. So even that's wrong. But it goes back to basically the ridiculousness of etymology is fun, but overdoing etymology is dumb, we think.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's sort of like, let's just stick with the common English definition.
Shut up and relax. You know what I mean?
Right.
Dilapidated. Oy.
My goodness.
But this is we've all talked about this, the three of us, how each one of us has gotten a little more relaxed about correcting and so on. I think we all have. We each have our bugbears. Which is, where did bugbear come from? I have no idea. But anyway, but on the whole, I think we've gotten a lot more relaxed with how but a lot of people haven't. I think that all of us have seen the myriad of grammar groups or like on Facebook or on Reddit or on Instagram, where it's like, haha, look at this horrible sign I found that has like a typo. And everyone laughs and gets irritated. It's like a fun thing.
It's funny. Somebody listening right now, and I think you've demonstrated before that this is incorrect, but someone is going to be mad that you just said myriad of.
I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're absolutely right.
And someone's going to be mad when
I'm one who does just. I would have just said myriad websites or whatever you were talking about. But as you told me, myriad of is actually totally fine.
Well, I get one of my bugbears is whence. When people use, whence from or whence when, etc.
From whence,
from whence, yeah. But I think a lot of times we're getting more and more. Kath and I think both have gotten much more liberal in terms of because we both started out pretty much as fairly rigid grammar Nazis, I think, and we've changed a lot. But here's one from, I'm not going to call this person a grammar Nazi, but
we got an email.
Yeah.
Go, Ross.
Okay, I'm going to read it. My wife returned from her job at the St. Louis County Public Library and plunked in front of me a copy of your book. That doesn't mean what you think it means. It is in the second paragraph of your introduction that you commit one of the most common errors of our time, and one that most frequently annoys me. Okay, we had said, according to surveys, dictionaries like Merriam-Webster, usage panels like the Heritage Panel, etc. This is much like what today's journalists will do in saying things such as in states like Texas. Okay. In the fifth paragraph of your introduction, you do the same thing using, this person was really parsing us here, using like words that are not like other words. At the end of the paragraph, you correctly use such as when mentioning the New York Times and the Washington Post. Physician, heal thyself. Sincerely.
Don't do his name.
I was really tempted when he did this to answer back in Latin, because that physician, heal thyself comes from a Latin whatever. But let's leave that.
So okay. The deal with this, just really quickly, is that you were saying states like Texas when this person thinks that you should be saying states such as Texas, because otherwise you're saying states that are like Texas, but not necessarily Texas itself. Okay, you go ahead. This is obviously nonsense.
Okay, it was interesting because, but all grammar, in essence, to be fair to the individual, all grammar, in essence, is nonsense. There are basically arbitrary rules. I say cat. A French person says chat. We've decided basically on an idea. This is how you say things. This is how you put together words. However, in this case, and we've talked about this too, we have to be kind of loose with grammar, but we also have to be a little bit strict too. If I started talking, using very bad grammar, you're going to have troubles understanding me, and it doesn't really work very well. However, in this case, it was really interesting because the idea of such as versus like basically seems to have taken hold in the mid-20th centuries. It's very recent, that distinction.
Wow, that recent?
And even then, the two Fowler brothers, famous for their concise Oxford Dictionary of Current English and all of their books, their first definition of like is such as.
Not their first, it's one of the definitions.
Oh, one of the definitions. Thank you, Kathy. You have corrected me. You're right.
I am at heart a copy editor. Remember this.
And incidentally, the book was copy edited as well. So
yeah. That's wild. I didn't realize it was such a recent distinction.
Yeah.
I as someone who knows that people write letters like that, especially to say public radio stations. When I have news copy in front of me, I will change like to such as.
That's interesting.
But but really, come on. Also, it's not exclusive. States like Texas could include Texas.
Well,
Texas is very much like Texas.
That distinction can't. We know the distinction. We like because it's chatty. And we were deliberately doing the book. We are actually aware of it, but we deliberately scattered them both because we like the sort of chatty nature to it. And we pick one or the other mostly instinctively when it just sounds better.
The thing is, go on.
Oh, sorry. No, and we found an author. We found numerous examples in literature where like is used. There's an author, I'm not sure you know her, called Jane Austen. Ever heard of her? Yeah, no. Straightforward, open-handed man like Weston. She did it.
But ultimately, Russ, I'm going to use your argument here as, we always cite, there's always citations from famous authors doing one or the other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can always pick someone to back your horse, if you will. What am I doing with all these slang slogans today? Bugbear, back your horse. I'm sorry. I don't know what. But I think to me, the thing is, it doesn't matter, this particular distinction. It doesn't alter the meaning one bit. Not even a nuanced, does it? No.
And that leads us into our whole topic for the day. This was an example of someone citing us, and I understand the difference, but we don't feel that's an essential difference. We don't think it's worth arguing about, particularly because it doesn't seem even that traditional in that sense. So you're not really violating tradition. So we're going to move on, and we come to our famous one. We've talked about it before, but we've heard a lot about it again. Split infinitives.
Oh, yes. Thou shalt not split infinitives is also a made-up rule, right? Because if I remember correctly, this is one of those deals where in the 17th or something century, a bunch of guys said English should be more like Latin, and in Latin you can't split an infinitive, probably because it's one word, right? An infinitive is
Mhm.
probably one word in
Mhm.
Latin,
Well,
whereas
actually, I mean, that kind of bothers me all the time when people say that, because Latin does have two a future infinitive. For example, would be like, for, let's say, Porto to Cara would be portaturis esse, and the esse is a separate
okay,
word. So I mean, technically, even when they say that, most Latin infinitives are one word, and you can't split one word. But some are too, and they don't actually. To be fair, though, they don't usually split those either. So, but whatever.
yeah, okay, right. So obviously in English we can split an
Yes,
infinitive because
easily.
we can show that to boldly go.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, that's always the best example. It's interesting though because it became splitting infinitives was very common. It was like a normal form of a normal structure,
Hmm.
and it started. It was big at one point, then it became rarer. Then when did they reappeared in the 18th century? So you've got, like, at the beginning, split infinitives. Then you have a decline in split infinitives. Pretty. I mean, like the list I have here about, there's no King James Version of the Bible, no split infinitives. Rare and Samuel Johnson. Spencer, no. Dryden, no. Pope, no. John Donne, a little bit. Pepys, once. Although, why do we? Yeah, it's sort of odd that someone would count that only Pepys only had one, but whatever. And then they reappeared in the 18th century. Then the Victorians go, absolutely not, big grammatical error. Let's go away again from it. So you have these, hills and valleys all over the joint.
Hmm. Which is typical of a language. I mean, any language in humankind, it changes over time. I like the Fowler definition in modern English usage. They divided the English speaking word into 5 classes based upon their attitude towards split infinitives. And I think we can argue this for almost every controversy in grammar. Number one is those who neither care nor know what a split infinitive is, and generally are
Uh-huh.
just happy folk. Those who do
They
not
are.
know,
They're the happiest of all.
yeah, those who do not know but care very much, those who avoid them blindly based on tame acceptance of the misinterpreted opinions of others. 3, those who know and condemn. 4,
Mhm.
those who know and approve. Those who choose deliberately to split, often rejecting the trammels of convention.
Oh.
And those who know and distinguish, those who analyze, often called discriminate or distinguishers, who recognize that some splits are better than others based upon clarity and style.
And that was the ideal. We all want to be number
Right.
5.
Yes,
Well,
yes,
or
we
number
do.
one. Or number one.
Yeah.
I would say
I
5
kind
or
of
1.
like the happy folk.
Yeah.
Out there with my cow. Sorry.
I also
Yeah.
kind of like the people who do it on purpose. Number 4, I
Mm.
think that was, to
Mhm.
just to stick it to everybody else.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
trammels of convention. They avoid
pretty
that.
good.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is so odd to me though that this is such a bone of contention with so many. I genuinely don't see why you get so hot under the collar about what to me is so minor. Do you
Well,
guys?
I'll tell you why I used to, is because it made me feel superior,
Mm,
Hmm.
because I thought I knew something and other people were screwing it up. I mean, that's why I used to get bothered by it. Like, at its root. I don't think I could have told you that at the time, but that's why I used to get bothered and huffy about it. But that, as I've said before, that's no real way to live your life, and I feel a lot
No,
better about things
it
now.
is. I
So
agree.
it's true. It's funny because I mean, I'm just glancing through all of our notes, and I mean, the one of the earliest printed instances is from Alfred. We've talked about Henry Alfred before, who was the guy in the 1800s, wrote a book called The Queen's English, and where he laid out his rules, and everybody sort of followed. And the interesting thing with the split infinity, he was very against it. A lot of writers at the time said that's ridiculous, Hank, whatever the hell you want to
Mhm.
be called. We think it's fine. But for whatever reason, it caught on.
Mhm.
It's like everybody thought, well, if Henry Alfred says so, it must be true. And teachers are still teaching it.
hmm
Well, I like I don't remember who said it now. I would love to give the person credit who said, "I don't just split infinitives, I smash them."
He's to number 4.
The next one is Kathy's bugbear, to use that word, which I think it's like the bogeyman type thing, Kathy, incidentally. I didn't mention that. The bugbear. Yeah, I think. We can check it. But anyway, Kathy will constantly scream at me about. Not that I do it or don't do it, but Kathy just like screams when everyone mentions this.
Oxford comma.
Oxford comma.
Oh.
This is Kathy's bugbear with people citing it all the time. Do you know anything? Always use the Oxford comma. Kat goes, no, you don't have to. You don't have to. And I'm going to leave the rest. I'm not going to laugh. I'm going to let Kathy go with this one.
Thank you. This is a pet peeve of mine because I everywhere you turn, anyone it seems that's interested in language, in the English language, mentions the Oxford comma, and it's like, oh my God, it's like I would never go out with somebody who doesn't know how to use an Oxford comma, or you know what I mean, or like Oxford comma. It's groups like protect the Oxford comma. It's not even a real rule. It's grammatically optional. The Oxford comma is it's not grammatically correct. It's not grammatically incorrect, but it could be either.
I'm going to interrupt you here, Kathy. 1 second in defense of the Oxford comma. I agree it can be either. And sometimes I think, well, first of all, we should define the Oxford comma.
Oh, yes, thank you. Sorry.
Why don't you define it, and then I'll
Oxford comma is also called a serial comma. It's the technical definition, it's the comma used after the penultimate item in a list of 3 or more items, before the and or the or.
Okay.
So you would have like Fletcher, comma, Ross, comma, Kathy, comma, and her cats.
Right.
Okay, now I'm going to read a case where...
Alternatively, you could have Fletcher, comma, Ross, comma, Kathy, and her cats.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. No comma after Kathy. So I guess that's where the decision comes in, is whether you're going to put that comma there.
My irritation is the fact that there's this like not a handful of people. It's like people that seem to think it's a crime against punctuation to not use an Oxford comma. And my argument is that, okay, yes, there are instances where I think it makes it clear. We go back to what is punctuation for, what is grammar for, what is language for. It's to communicate. It doesn't matter if you're not using it. It doesn't mean that you're a moron who doesn't know that there should be a comma there, because there doesn't have to be one there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I get really hot under the collar with the people who have that, like, how dare you not use one? And I will stand on that hill.
So actually, in your personal writing, what do you do, Kathy? Just without regard to what anybody else gets mad about, what do you usually do?
I think I actually use it a fair amount.
Yeah,
frankly.
I don't think you get stressed out about it, though. I think you're right. You do.
Yeah, I think I use it quite often. I think I probably use it more often than not.
Okay, what about this one? This is a famous example that it's always up everywhere. This book is dedicated to my parents, comma, Ayn Rand and God.
Ayn Rand.
Oh, right.
Ayn Rand and God.
Very good, Kathy. Yeah. You could argue it's necessary there. Obviously, your parents are probably not Ayn Rand and God. And so, again, a kind of extreme example, but let's say it said, my parents, Ayn Rand, and I don't know, Arthur Miller.
Yeah, that's a case where you probably... I mean, the God makes it funny, but you're right. That one could be confusing to someone.
But I mean, I think that it's like, but really, you're going to know. I see. I go back to I maybe I have more faith in the masses. I would think that most people reading it would know that your parents probably weren't Arthur Miller and Ayn Rand.
I agree with you, but that said, I bet you would have put a... Oh, sorry.
What if it's this is dedicated to my parents, Chuck, and Georgia?
I agree with that. I was just about to say the same thing. That one, I think you would put it in. You'd put the because you would think that you want to make sure that Georgia and Chuck aren't your parents, aren't
right.
Okay, I'll give you that. But I'm saying I just don't think it's quite as a marker of intelligence or literacy that people are making it. And I think that's my pet peeve.
The AP style is not to use that comma. And so, I'm reading news stories all the time that don't have that comma in them, and it's
pretty clear.
99.5% of the time, it's perfectly clear. I do use it just personally because I I always have, and I just keep doing it, and that's fine unless I'm forced not to because I'm writing AP
Yeah,
style
that's right.
copy.
But
Because
here we,
Chicago uses it, AP doesn't, right? Isn't that it? Yeah.
yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, Chicago does say it, I think. But here we go with grammar again, though, in terms of usage. Fletcher earlier on said if it was for a very hypothetical
Oh.
situation.
Yeah, I'm sure I did. Yeah.
And it should have been technically, it should have been if it were. Now, none of us really stopped. We had no problem understanding Fletcher.
Well, I was actually a little wounded by it, but I didn't want to say anything.
Kathy spit up her coffee. Yeah. I could see you going, oh. No, but kidding aside, that's what I think that sort of epitomizes all of what we're talking about here. We're talking about rules that generally don't really make any difference in terms of hearing, in terms of listening, in terms of understanding, or in terms really of even elegance. I don't think that saying I use the subjunctive all the time, but I don't think not using the subjunctive is particularly egregiously bad at all.
Yeah.
What fascinated me, I found that the Oxford comma isn't as widely used in Great Britain. It's a very American punctuation. And here we call it Oxford, and everybody's like, "Ooh, Oxford!" You know,
Yeah,
like,
I think
we're classy. You know, and it's
we're
like,
doing that fake
and they're
British
busy
accent.
going, and they're busy going, "What idiots!"
Those colonials. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, right. That's all.
Maybe it's become the Oxford, Mississippi comma.
Yeah. But then if we said that, no one's going to use that then because they're going to go.
But now, did Faulkner use the Oxford
So we should
comma?
check that. Now we're going to come to a word that talking about controversy. I can't help it. I hate this word. And regardless of everyone saying irregardless, I just said regardless. I did not say irregardless because I hate it. Kath, do you want to expound on that?
Okay, well, I want to hear Fletcher's take on it. Fletcher, how do you feel about irregardless?
How do I feel about it is that I also hate it. I recognize all of the things we're about to say about it, but I am with Ross in that it's like nails on a chalkboard to me.
Yep, same with me.
I don't mind it as much as you guys, oddly enough. I don't like it, but what got me, though, is I didn't realize. I assumed irregardless was a fairly new construct, or it you know. It appeared back in the 1800s. You started having irregardless as a widely used word.
Actually, I gotta correct you, Kathy. Merriam-Webster says the first known use was 1795. We're scraping 1800, but we got a little bit.
You're right.
Yeah.
How that happened. The other thing is most people seem to think that it was like sort of like a rural kind of like irregardless thing.
Yeah.
It was a city thing. It was mainly used. They found most of the earliest occurrences in New York City and in Massachusetts. I'm assuming Boston and stuff.
Just in case people need it explained, the word should just be regardless. And when you put the IR in front of it, it I guess should probably make it not regardless.
Not regardless. Exactly.
Yeah, which is not what you mean.
No.
But we have talked about prefixes that become intensifiers or emphasizers, right?
Yes.
And
like
and basically
we have, right.
Right. They basically make the word mean the same thing they mean. They just don't do anything, and this sort of thing happens over time. My assumption has always been that people say irregardless because of the word irrespective.
Exactly.
Yes, that's exactly what most people think. It's a blend of irrespective and regardless. So it's an emphatic. It ends up being more of an emphatic.
Yeah. The interesting thing, though, is the in like the etymological dictionaries, they're saying the in here means the opposite of, as Fletcher just said. Yet when they do the inflammable, they say the in, which is correct. In Latin, in can mean various things. And they're saying their in is an intensifier. So my question is, how do they know that the irrespective is
not?
Yeah, and not
Good
just, I don't know.
Let's explain also. Ross said in, but that N can change into an R because of what's coming.
Anyway, irregardless or regardless of how you feel.
I think we know.
We'd love to hear your take on other grammatical controversies. Which ones drive you nuts? Which ones don't bother you at all? Which ones should we talk about? Let us know.
I gotta say one final thing though is the people always use "it's in the dictionary" as their explanation for why we can use it regardless. And we've touched this before, and I just have to toss it in. That's not an excuse. It's in the dictionary doesn't mean it's a great word. Okay,
No.
that's all.
You're Saying It Wrong is part of the NPR network and is produced in the studios of KMUW in Wichita, Kansas by me, Fletcher Powell. Kathy Petrus records from her home in Armia, Spain, Ross Petrus from his home in Toronto, Ontario in Canada. Torrent Anderson composed our theme music, and our digital team is Beth Golay and Carly Cooper. You can find all of our past episodes by subscribing to the You're Saying It Wrong podcast wherever you get your podcasts, or by visiting us at kmuw.org. If you have a question for Kathy and Ross, if you'd like to suggest a topic, or you just want to reach out, you can email me at powell@kmuw.org or email them at kandrpetrus@gmail.com. You can also email us a voice memo of you asking your question. You might get your voice heard on air. If you'd like to do the same thing by downloading the KMUW app, you can do that and just click the Talk to Us button. You can find all of Kathy and Ross's books pretty much anywhere you get books, and a handful of them are also available on audiobook read by the authors themselves. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week.